guys, Laura here. I'm here today to do a book review about two books, and they're in two different series. So the first book series I'm going to talk about is the Witchland series by Susan Dennard, and this is the second book in it, and it's called Wind Witch. I really love this book. I gave this book like 5 stars. The first book was called Truth Witch, and we followed Safi. The thing about the first book is that all the characters were pretty much like in the same place. So the point of views, while interesting and unique, weren't really needed. However, the thing I loved about this book was that all the characters that got a main POV were actually in different locations for like 95% of the book. Their paths crossed like maybe once, maybe twice. Some characters never even interacted. So I really loved how the author used the POVs to really tell so many different sides of like a war in this case, which is what was going on. I really loved the character of Merrick, who was the Wind Witch in the first book, and his story kind of ended on like a cliffhanger. So I really loved getting him and learning about him. And I love to see how Isolde and Safi reacted when they were separated and what that impact had. And I felt like the world building in this book was so much easier to follow than the first book. I had a lot of problems getting into Truth Witch, I'll be honest. I think I gave it like 3 stars, but I really like this book, and I gave this book like 4.5, 5 stars. I thought that the world building was so much more easy to follow. There was a very interesting character development that I thought was so interesting and how she reacted to it. There is some LGBT trans characters represented in this novel. And I thought the way that she did it was very similar to how Rick Riordan did it in his Magnus Chase series, like a similar concept in a similar way. But I really enjoyed it, and I think that the more these characters are viewed in our literature, the easier it will be to have them represented in our real lives. But I just loved how the story was a very fluid story. It made a lot of sense, but it was a very fast paced read. I thought that all the point of views that we got were very effective, and I felt like I literally saw the story from like 45 different point of views. This book really was a game changer. I think I changed my thoughts on a lot of characters, and I say this a lot of times. Sometimes when you have a villain in a story and you look at the story from their point of view, it changes. That definitely has happened in this story. I think I changed a lot of how I view many characters in this novel, and I cannot wait for the third book, which is Blood Witch, which is going to be the next story. These characters are still all separated, so I'll be very intrigued to see what happens in that story. If you haven't checked out the Witchland series, I highly recommend you check it out. The Truth Witch was a little bit of a harder read for me, but once I got past 100 pages, I felt like it really flew. And this book was very fluid and very easy to read, and I highly recommend it. But yeah, those are my thoughts about the Witchland series, and specifically Wind Witch. I will have if I have a blog, if I have a book life blog, it will be down below. I'll just link it. But overall, I really enjoyed it. The next book I'm going to talk about is actually a series conclusion, and it is Their Fractured Light by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, and this is a Starbound novel. The first book was These Broken Stars, the second book was This Shattered World, and then this is Their Fractured Light, and there is a novella thrown in there. And Amy Kaufman writes one character and Megan Spooner writes the other. I really love this conclusion. I think I gave it like 5 stars. I not only loved how this series concluded overall, I also loved how all 6 characters finally got to meet, which was amazing. I think like the second half of this book was just them all together in one location, and I loved it. And there were so many interesting character relationships and dynamics that were revealed that we didn't know through book 1 to 2, so I thought that was so interesting. I love the 2 characters that we met. I love Sophie and Julian, and their dynamics and their interactions was so interesting. But I just loved seeing all of these characters that we have met throughout these books interact finally, and I thought it was so important. But there was a lot of interesting dialogue about science fiction stuff, and normally, like the first time of this book, I thought the world was a little bit hard to follow, but I think that has cleaned up a lot in the last couple of books, and I'm really glad that I finally finished this series, because they're coming out with a new combined series next year, and it says it's space meets Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm very excited for it. But I really, really enjoyed the conclusion to the story. The first book is a little bit hard to read, but overall, I think that if you read them back to back, you'll have a little bit of a smoother reading experience. But it was a super, super good read. Very, very long. I mean, this is close to like 400 pages, but it was a very, very quick paced read, and I really loved just seeing all the characters, their interactions, and what happened when they met and realized who these characters actually were. It was a super, super interesting story, and in addition, you also got an unexpected point of view that really showcased what the villain's point of view was through this entire story, and I really, really enjoyed it. So those are my thoughts on Wind Witch and their Fractured Light. I'm pretty sure I have I'll put reviews about these on my Book Likes blog. But if you guys have any questions, please comment below. Let me know if you guys have read these series and what were your thoughts. And also, if you'll be checking them out now. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.